on logos, because on Monday we talked about ethos, or ethos, which is credibility. Logos, you guys, should seem like a no-brainer. That, I'm going to tell you, logos means logic. It's the easiest one to remember. Logos, logic. They look very similar. But you would be really surprised that people take it for granted. That they're like, duh, obviously I'm being logical, Mrs. Coates. Right? That is actually usually more involved than people realize. So it should technically be as simple as connecting the dots. 1 + 1 = 2 and not 11, right? But there are some really common problems that happen in debate specifically, but also it's a real life skill. So the first thing is repetition. I kind of chuckle a little bit, and it's a little bit mean, but there's so many times debaters are like, but I said that! I'm like, did you say it once or did you say it like 5 times? Because ask yourself, when you've got a teacher who's yapping at you, right, all class period long, and then you times that by 6, and then you have 6 teachers who are yapping at you all day long, think of how much is slipping through the cracks. That's why, on the really important stuff, you repeat it, like I'm doing right now. I already said you should repeat stuff. I'm doing that myself. So, especially on the big, important things. So that's the first problem. It makes it more logical. Number 2, Dr. Hart last year told a story about this. We were in faculty meeting, and she said, you know what, I recently observed Mr. Whale, and Mr. Whale is really good at mental processing time. And I was like, oh snap, I think I'm really bad at that, actually. But she said that what she saw, at least, and it's connected to this idea of giving people time to reason through something, that when he asks a question, he actually stops and lets people actually think about that. I don't know if that's still the case, but at least it was when she saw him last year. And that's a big deal, because just because you're throwing information out at your judge, number 1, they might have missed it. Number 2, they might not have had time to mentally process it, which is a problem with spewing or speed reading in LD and policy. So then the next big thing to help with logos and reason and logic is to dumb it down. Even if you have a very with it judge, even then, dumbing it down a little bit and kind of making it digestible for the judge is a big deal, especially though when you have a mama judge. And I think I mentioned it before, but this is the time I mention it one more time. At this point, if you are very invested in being successful in championships and in state, I highly recommend that for LD and policy, because it's really not as applicable to oratory. I would have a second speech for my AF and for my NEC. That is a dumbed down, simplified version of my speech that takes out any debate lingo and jargon and words and basically just sticks to the emotion and big, important facts. So then, we're almost done here, but the sentence I think is important. You kind of have to ask yourself, is this going to make sense from the listener's point of view? And sometimes that's hard to test, you guys. Listen to this. You've now worked with your speech so much that you're kind of not a good test of that anymore. So anytime you've got a big, important argument and you're like, wait, do I have the logos? Does this make sense? I would test it on a non-debater. I would be like, hey, listen to this and tell me if it makes sense. Test it out on somebody. And then the second sentence is so important that I made it red and I bolded it and I underlined it because it's that important. Just because you said something once doesn't mean it was logical and doesn't mean the judge actually understood. So you do have to be more strategic and specific when it comes to logos, more than you think of. So let's end with a little video and then we're done with this. So but be thinking of your you try box.
Ethos, logos, pathos, alashma. Kind of like Larry, Curly, and Moe. We all hate losing arguments. It feels good to be right, but it feels even better to convince someone else that you're right, and then maybe rub their face in it a little bit. What if you had a bag of tricks that you could go anytime you felt someone needed a little persuading? Thanks to Aristotle, the great thinker from ancient Greece.
What I'm first thinking is this
Three such tricks that will often get the job done. They're not foolproof. In other words, they won't usually get you out of the lawn or doing the dishes. But if you're writing an argument essay and want a reader to see, understand, and agree with your point, these tricks are the B's and E's.
Yeah. That this is basically I'm just going to try and prove that all of this stuff is being harmed because of automation. And this is an attack.
You want to know what they are?
It's not actually going to be bad. So it's not really this attitude.
The three devices are called ethos, pathos, and logos. Once you've mastered these tools, you'll be able to write a stellar essay, win political debates, and sell just about anything on late-night television. Let's start with ethos. Ethos means moral character.
Obviously, a little review here.
He's trying to persuade his audience by convincing them that he's a good guy. So if you pin someone up against the wall and demand that they prefer Coke to Pepsi, it's probably not the most effective means of persuasion. But if that same person gets the sense that you're a decent human being who just wants to discuss the subject in a calm manner, he may be more willing to see another side of the issue.
Right? Ethos, credibility, trustworthy.
Enter pathos. Pathos means emotion. As a rhetorical device, pathos gets us to stop thinking and start feeling. Something political seems to have down to a science. Feeling. Does this mean we have to get all lovey-dovey and wishy-washy? Well, no. But sometimes appealing to someone's softer side can do the trick. If you're trying to convince a reader that crude oil is bad for the environment, don't just cite figures and fill up the pages with a bunch of charts and graphs. Talk about the animals that are affected. Bambi, and often killed when there's a spill. It will only help the case if you can get your reader to cry over spilled oil. And then there's the third and final rhetorical device, logo.
Think about your U-Try box.
Reasoning, logic. Here is where all those aforementioned charts, graphs, and figures come into play. But it's also about explaining to your reader in clear and concise terms why they should logically agree with your point of view. It's about providing concrete evidence to support your claims. If you can make them feel stupid for daring to think anything different, all the better. But watch the name color. So when writing an argument essay, don't set pen to paper without the big three of your point. Ethos, meaning moral character, pathos, meaning emotion, and logos, meaning reason.
Okay, so we are done with that. I just want to remind everybody really quick, hold on, that I kind of mentioned it, but it was a bad time to mention it because we were all packing up. It's not too late. I just put Spencer's trophy in there yesterday. So if you have one from March Madness, please let me show it off. You deserve the glory of. I see kids when I'm out on hallway duty. I see kids